Hello everyone. So right now I want everybody to please take out a sheet of paper or your notebook paper because you'll be taking notes here for this video lesson. So this lesson is called multi-step equations. But this is part 1. Multi-step equations, part 1. All right. So we will begin with our first lightning bolt here. The first lightning bolt says get all variables to one side. So the goal is to get all variables or all the letters to one side of the equation, to one side of the equal sign, correct? Specifically, we are going to all variables, right? All variables to one side. Okay. Second lightning bolt here says get all numbers to the other side. So we're going to get all numbers to the other side. Again, focusing on all numbers to the other side, right? And finally, lightning bolt number 3, right? Get variable by itself. So the goal here is to get the variable by itself, right? We want to get the letter in the equation by itself in order for us to create a balance. We want to know what's missing in order to create that balance. So we are going to solve each equation. Right? We're going to solve each equation. We're going to find the missing variable, the missing letter that creates a balance here with this equation here. Again, this is a balance between left and right, and we want left and right to be equal. So we want to know what letter will make these two sides, left and right, equal to each other. So we always start with, again, everybody please take notes. We always start with our line of separation under the equal sign. So we will start with our line of separation under the equal sign all the way down here. Now, this equation is different and is different from the prior ones because usually what we did is we found R, right? We found R, and our goal was to get R by itself and bring it down. But if you notice, look, there's an R here and there's an R here. So I can't bring this down here and this down here. I don't want R's on both sides. I want R only on the left side or only on the right side, because as the first lightning bolt says right here, right, get all variables to one side. Get all variables to one side. So we only want them to be on one side. So this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to bring this minus 2R. I'm going to bring it, so go over that again. I'm going to bring this minus 2R over here to this side so it can be together with this minus 5R. Or I have the choice of bringing this minus 5R over to this side to be with this minus 2R. It really doesn't matter which choice you make. So in this case, I'm going to bring this minus 5R over to this side, right? So this minus 5R here, what is the opposite? What is the inverse of minus 5R? When I cross it out and it comes over to this side, it's going to become plus 5R. Plus 5R. Now remember, we want all variables on one side, right? First lightning bolt. But the second lightning bolt says we want all numbers on the other side. So now that I have these r's here together, see, I moved it. It's no longer here. I moved it over here. Now that I have these r's here, I can bring them down. I want this r, these two r's, to come down here. So I can say r equals. So I know my r's are going to be on this side of the line of separation, on this side. So if my r's are going to be here, that means that I want my numbers here. 12 is already here. See, but -3 needs to come over to this side. So when I cross out -3 and it comes over to this side, it's going to become +3, just like that. And now I can do these two here. These two. See? So are these two the same sign? They are not, right? 2 is a negative, 5 is a positive. So I'm going to subtract. So 5 take away 2 is 3. 3r. And then what kind of 3? Positive 3, because 5 is bigger and 5 is positive, so 3r. Now on this side, I have 12 plus 3, which is 15. Oops. All right. And now I remember that 3r means 3 times r. And what is the opposite of times? What is the opposite of multiplying? The inverse of multiplying is dividing. So I'm going to cross out 3 here, and I'm going to bring it over as division. 15 divided by 3 is 5. And that is my solution right there. So this was called multi-step because I did more than 2 steps. I did multiple steps, right? Multi-step. Okay. So let's try this second one. Okay. Again. Right. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my line of separation. Right. Down here like that. Everybody should be writing right now. Right. This problem, 2n plus 1 is equal to 5 plus n. Okay. Now, my goal is to bring down the variable, right, down here by itself, either here or here. But there's a problem, though. I have an n here, which would come down on the left side, and I have an n here, which would come down on the right side. I don't want that. I want the n's to be together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this n over here to this side. This n is going to come over here to this side. But first, to help myself, I'm going to write this 1 here because it's an invisible 1. So if I want to bring this plus 1n over here, it's got to become the opposite. So I'm going to cross out plus 1n, the whole thing. And when this plus 1n comes over, it's going to become a minus 1n. So now, look, I have both n's right here. This n is gone. I crossed it out. I have both n's here, so this n can now come down right there. So I can safely write it right there. So if my n's are on this side, then my numbers are going to be on this side. So I want to move this one over here this way. So I'm going to cross out plus 1, and I'm going to say minus 1 here on this side. So I'm going to take care of my n's first. 2n take away 1n is 1n. And it's a positive 1 because 2 is positive and 2 is bigger. Right? Now I'm going to take care of my 5 minus 1. What is 5 take away 1? You get 4. Right? Then I say to myself, what does 1n mean again? Remember? What does 1n, what does a number next to a letter mean again? Exactly. It means multiply. So that's 1 times n. So if it's 1 times here, when I bring it over to this side, it's going to be divided by 1. So I'm going to cross out 1, and I'm going to divide by 1 here. 4 divided by 1 is 4. And that's my solution for that one right there. And these are the 2 notes examples. All right, so now we're going to do some examples that you're going to see on your worksheet. Similar examples, right? So here's number 1. So let's follow the steps. Step 1 is I'm going to draw my line of separation, my equal sign. I want to bring my x down, but I have an x on the left and I have an x on the right. So I need to either bring them on the left or put them on the right, my x's. This time I'm going to move this minus 3x and I'm going to move it over this way. So I'm going to cross out minus 3x. But when it comes over, it becomes the opposite of minus 3x, which is plus 3x. Just like that. And since I'm going to have my x's here, see, both my x's are here, so my x is going to come down, so I can write it over here like this. That means that my numbers are going to be on this side. So that means that this 8 here, I'm going to move it this way, and the opposite, I'm going to cross out 8, positive 8, and the opposite of positive 8 is minus 8, exactly. So I'm going to do here my left side here first. 16 minus 8 is 8. Right? And negative 5 and positive 3 are not the same signs. So I'm going to subtract 5 and 3. 5 minus 3 is 2x. And it's going to be a negative because 5 is bigger than 3 and 5 is a negative. So I'm going to have negative 2. And I'm going to remember that negative 2x means what in the middle again? It means times, right? And the opposite of multiplying, when I cross out negative 2 and it comes over to this side, is dividing by negative 2. So a positive divided by a negative is a negative. And 8 divided by 2 is 4. There you go. All right. Let's do another example there. Make sure everybody you're copying all these problems and you're pausing the video if you need to copy. Pause your video if you need to copy your problems. All right. Number 2 here. Okay. Step 1. What is my step 1 again? Step 1 is to draw my line of separation. Hopefully you guys draw it a little straighter than me, but that's my line of separation there. Okay. Step 2 is I want to bring my x's down, right? I'm dealing with x, so I want this x to come down here, but it's on the left side. And I want this x to come down here. That's on the right side. That's not going to work. So I want to bring this x. You know what? I'm going to bring this x over to this side. So again, I'm going to write my invisible 1 there. That's a 1x, and that's a 1x. So I'm going to cross out this plus 1x, and I'm going to bring it over as minus 1x. So if my x's are here, my x is going to come down here like this. So my x is right there. All right. So that means that I'm going to bring this plus 6 over to this side, and I'm going to cross out plus 6, and it's going to become a minus 6. So I have minus 1 and minus 6 are the same signs, so I add them. 1 plus 6 is 7, and my 6 is bigger than 1, and 6 is a negative, so that means that 7 is negative as well. And on this side here, I have 1x minus 1x. Well, 1 minus 1 is 0, right? Now, I can write 0x here, but x is 0, right? So look what's happening here. What happened to my x? My x is gone. So this is actually not x. This is, I'm going to erase this here. Oops. So I'm going to erase that there, and I'm going to say this is 0. So that means that this, I can't do anything with that, right? This is just going to come down and make it negative 7. Now, I want you to think, when in the world is negative 7 equal to 0? Never, right? Negative 7 is its own number. 0 is its own number. It's never equal to each other. So whenever you come across something like this, where you have a number equals a number that's not equal, the answer is no solution. That means that there is no number that we can plug in for x here that's going to make these equals. Nothing. There's no number that exists. It's no solution. Okay. Couple more. Okay, number 3. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw our line of separation, right? So, let's see if I make it a little straighter. Not bad. Not bad, right? So, again, I'm dealing with n here, so this n is going to come down here, and this n is going to come down here. That's not going to work. I need to bring my n's together, either on the left side or on the right side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this 5n, and I'm going to bring it this way. So I'm going to cross out 5n. And what is the opposite of 5n? The inverse of 5n is, of course, negative 5n. Right? So that means that my n's are over here on this side, so my n's going to come down here. Right? So that means that since my n's are on this side, let me erase that. My n's are on this side. That means my numbers are going to be on that side. So I'm going to bring this 3, and I'm going to bring it over to this side and make it minus 3. Okay? So let's do this side first. 5n minus 5n is, well, 0. That's easy, right? Anything minus itself is 0. Oh, so let's do this side now. 3 minus 3 is also 0. Okay. So that means that for sure I don't have n here. I have, because this 0 is going to come down here. This 0 is going to come down here. That means that 0 is equal to 0. Well, you guys tell me. Is 0 equal to 0? It is. Right? So that means this is a special kind of equation. That means that I can plug in any number for n. Whatever number I plug in here, I also plug in here. It's going to make this balanced. This is going to equal to this side. So I could put in a million here and a million here. They're the same, right? They have to be the same. It's n and n. These two sides are going to be equal. So when that comes up, the solution is all real numbers. Numbers. All real numbers. Finally, one more example. One more example. All right. Let's pick brown this time. Okay. Again, my line of separation comes down just like that. I make an equal. Again, I'm dealing with n here. N is something that's being used a lot, right? This n comes down here. This n comes down here. That's a problem. I want these n's to be together. So I'm going to bring this minus 5n over to this side. So if I cross out minus 5n, it's going to come over as plus 5n. So if my n's are on the left side here, my n comes down. That means that my numbers are going to be, my n's are on the left side, my numbers are going to be on the right side. So I'm going to take this minus 12, excuse me, and I'm going to bring it over to this side, and I'm going to call it plus 12. Now, again, I have a minus 4n and a plus 5n. They're different signs, so I have to subtract. 5 take away 4 is 1n. And it's a positive because 5 is bigger than 4 and 5 is positive. So positive 5n there. And now this side, negative 4 and positive 12 are also not the same sign. So I'm going to subtract 12 minus 4 is 8. And it's going to be a positive 8 because 12 is bigger and 12 is positive. So I'm going to remember that 1n means 1 times n. And I'm going to cross out 1. And the opposite of times, when I bring 1 over, is going to be divided by 1. And finally, 8 divided by 1 is 8. And I get n is equal to 8. So everybody make sure you have copied these in your notebook or in your paper. You will get solutions. You might get solutions like number 1 and number 4, where you actually get answers. See, n equals 8, x equals negative 4. Or you might have a problem where they are not equal to each other and the answer is no solution. Or they are equal to each other exactly and the answer is all real numbers. Right? So this is multi-step multi-step equations part 1. Okay. Again, make sure that you have copied these on your notebook or sheet of paper and rewind if you have to make sure you have everything.